Hello, you're watching Sister Talk TV show. This is Dietrich Kelsey, your host. The past week, the hot topics have been very busy, and there is so much to talk about. But we can only talk about these topics. The national election held on November the 2nd. It was a landslide for some of the Democrats or the Republicans, but it was surprise also. So that's what we're going to talk about. And also Dave Chappelle, the controversy special, The Closer. Is he really canceled? In New York City, the elections. How do you think Eric Adams as mayor is going to do in New York City? Oh, wow, we have so much to talk about. But hey, let's begin with the elections nationwide. Let's start with New York City. Eric Adams. And with me, I apologize, got so caught up in reading what our topics were, is Rhonda Hanson, actress, director, comedian, political specialist. She does it all. How you doing, Rhonda?
I'm great. Happy to see you. Been too long.
Yes, it has. Rhonda, we consider our sister friend, our sister girlfriend, a Sister Talk TV show. She's a regular here, and every time she's available, she has no problem coming, and we do love her. And also we have Star Davis. Star, where did you disappear to? Hey, Star. Here you are. How you doing? Everybody's so comfy at home.
Yes.
Yes. So Star Davis is the actress, the crew member also, and she's a regular on Sister Talk. And also she's an actress. She's one of those people. You have a commercial. Tell us about your commercial.
Oh, the infomercial that I did was to promote getting vaccinated. So that was earlier in the spring to get people out to get vaccinated. And yeah.
Yeah. I know you were stopped a lot in the street. Aren't you that woman who went up to that brownstone?
Yes. A couple times, yes, I was.
Okay, all right. So let's get busy, you all. Let's get busy. Let's talk about Eric Adams as mayor. I think he's the first Black mayor probably in, 25 years or something like that, since Dinkin. He's been around. He has been around. People know him. I think he's been planning this for a while, and it has come into fruition Tuesday, November the 2nd. So what do you all think about him as being mayor? Do you think he's going to be somebody like de Blasio? Anybody, just anybody.
I think he's going to be like exactly what he is, part of the system.
Oh, really?
Well, he's been a policeman all his life, hasn't he?
But he has spoken out against police brutality, police misconduct in the police department.
Speaking out against police misconduct is not saying it's time to end qualified immunity. That, I want to hear somebody say end qualified immunity. I think I want to hear somebody say we need a civilian complaint review board that has teeth and that can really punish. I want a mayor who is not going to be a black face, just a black face without any real consideration for Black people.
So why do you think that he's just going to be part of the system? Because he has a history.
He's been a policeman all his life. That is a culture all of its own.
Okay.
That's what I believe.
But also he has been an activist too.
How so?
Well, like I said, speaking against police brutality. I remember him on.
But if you don't speak against police brutality, you
he has been very vocal.
You got the sense your mama gave you.
But also he has started, and I can't think of the organization right offhand. I apologize for that. But he also set up an organization within the police department to combat the discrimination, the racism, and also police brutality. Also, Does that weigh in? That
No,
is that
not for me.
favorable?
Not for me, but you know, if somebody else want it, y'all can have it.
How about yourself, Star?
No, didn't he start the 100 Blacks in law enforcement?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Okay. I was not a supporter of his in the primaries. He got my number 2 vote, but I'm willing to give him a chance. And I mean, based on the choices that we had, right? Somebody who's,
Sliwa?
you know, who showed up to vote with his kitten. And I mean, don't get me wrong, everybody knows I love cats, but
Yes.
that, you know,
Yes.
I didn't even know what to say to that one. But I don't know, you know, I think Eric Adams, while I agree with Rhonda, there's definitely a system in place, but I think he probably has the most broad perspective of any mayor we've had in the past. Having been a police captain, but he says that he's also suffered from police brutality at some point. I don't think any other mayor can make that.
His brother was beaten by the police officer.
Right. I don't think any other mayor of New York City will be able to make that claim. So I'm willing to see what he does before just, you know, writing him off.
Okay. Let's go across the bridge. Let's go to New Jersey. Now, that was the Democrats almost lost that governor election, I think by 3%. Also, let's go further down south, Virginia. Now, the Republican Glenn Youngkin won against Terry McAuliffe, which was very, surprising to everybody because the Democrat Terry McAuliffe, he was in the lead, but Republican Young, he just came and snatched. What does that say about the Democratic Party? You know, because Biden won by, I believe 16 points. And this guy here, Governor Glenn Youngkin, he won by almost like 65 or 67 points. What does that say about the Democratic Party? Are they going to lose the White House in 2024?
I don't know if it says anything about the Democratic Party, but I no longer have trust in polling. I know Murphy was 8 points ahead in the polls, and he beat Chiarelli by less, I think, than 1 percentage point. So I'm no longer trusting of people in the polls, and that happened too when Trump was running, right? I remember Hillary was like way ahead in the polls, and next thing you know, Trump beat him. So what I think is going on is I think Republicans who stop at nothing, I won't say all Republicans, but some Republicans, I think when they're asked who they support, I think they're lying, and they say they support a Democratic candidate to give this false security, this false sense of security. Oh, we're so ahead in the polls. We don't really have to worry about too much because we're so ahead. And then once the voting starts, that 8 percentage point lead just totally evaporated. So I don't believe that it existed in the first place.
So you think the Republican voters, are just standing in line, just like Cat Williams said, just standing in line saying, yeah, I'm voting Democrat, but in actuality, they're voting Republican.
I wouldn't put it past them.
What's your take on it, Rhonda?
Well, I don't know what's going on across the bridge, but I do know that that woman who is the lieutenant governor down in Virginia,
yes, I'm gonna get to it.
Pretty scary to me.
It's Winsome Sinclair.
Winsome Sears, I thought her name was.
Okay, all right.
Isn't it Winsome Sears?
Well, let's see, right?
It's not Sinclair. It's not Sinclair. I know
it's Winsome Sears.
It's Sears. Winsome Sears standing there with that damn gun. If that ain't the scariest thing, I'm waiting for her to get
thought about that.
I am waiting for her to get pulled over and have that damn gun in the back of her car, and some rookie don't even recognize her as the damn lieutenant governor. That's what I'm waiting
and
for.
Hope she don't get her head blown off.
Really?
because they're not going to recognize her as a lieutenant governor first. But you know something, Rhonda, that's what I was thinking. You know, was it scary for us to see her with a gun, or just a Black woman carrying a gun?
No, I think it's scary for her. I think it's scary for her walking around with that gun.
You know,
they're not going to see an NRA supporter or a gun rights supporter. They're going to see a Black face with a gun.
Yes. Yes, you know, and you know, they may change the laws because of that, you know, because I believe that's what happened with the Black Panthers. I don't know if they changed the law. I'm gonna be very correct, open about that. But people got scared when the Black Panthers walked into a government building with rifles, which were illegal for them to do, to carry open arms.
That was legal. And we have seen white folks walking in the capitals all over the nation and the nation's capital with weapons, doing whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
With no consequences.
No, really. And they have so many of them up in there. All they can do is give the few they do arrest, a slap on the wrist, let them go on vacation, get them organic food and crap.
What was that? What? Okay, yeah, I didn't understand that one. So the
guy
guy
with the horns,
organic food.
The shaman with the horns, his mother said he had to have organic food in jail.
So it was no more than bologna, cheese, and mayonnaise sandwiches, huh?
Right.
Really?
Really. But so that's going to upset, and you know, okay, let me rephrase that. I don't know, by the Republicans upseating the Democrats in November, in Virginia. I don't know if it makes a difference for us or not. Winsome Sears, now that I have to agree, that was really, I was taken back by that when I saw her with the rifle and all that. And I don't know too much about her. She's very conservative, of course, but
well, she says she's been Black all her life. I'm going to go with that's just about all I can believe from her.
Mm-hmm. Do you all find that kind of interesting? Speaking of Winsome Sears, that a lot of Black people are moving from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party? Do you find that it's to me, according to the media, there's a big wave of that coming over there?
No, I don't see it. You may see it. I don't see it. What I see is a lot of people just leaving the Democratic Party alone and leaving the Republican Party alone. That's what I see.
And why is that? Because the Democratic Party are not in tune with the people.
They're not. Yeah. They haven't delivered. Even as far as Biden goes, I'm still waiting. I remember specifically hearing him say, African Americans have had my back, and now I'm going to have yours. And when he said African Americans, he meant all Black Americans, not necessarily just African Americans. I'm still waiting for that to happen. It was the Black vote that got him over, but we have an anti-Asian hate bill. We've got payments possibly going to people who come into the United States, but I've yet to see
illegally entering.
And I've yet to see what specifically he's done for the Black American community, whose vote it was that got him the nomination and who actually got him elected. So Blacks are leaving the Democratic Party maybe because they're not getting what they, what we think we're supposed to get from it. I don't know. But I certainly can't see this big wave of Blacks going to the Republican Party. That just seems really counterproductive to me.
Dora, you heard him say that Blacks had his back. But did you hear him tell all those so-called civil rights leaders that we're gonna have to work with Hispanics now? When they called him, they went to the media because he wasn't even returning the calls from Sharpton and NAACP. And
wow, really?
Did you hear what he said?
No, but I specifically,
honey, please. The man said
verbatim.
What did he say? I'd like to hear that.
We're gonna have to work with Hispanics now.
Well, like I said, I specifically heard him say verbatim, the African American community has had my back and I'm gonna have yours. That made my ears shoot up when I heard that. And I'm
Well,
still
I
waiting
said
to
what
see
I
how
heard.
that's gonna be manifested. I've yet to see how he's delivered on that one.
Wow.
I heard him say that the United States is doomed not just because of Black people. How you like that? He said it. He said not just because of Black people, but because white folks gonna be in a minority in a couple of decades. And he also said to all of those so-called civil rights leaders, well, you're gonna have to work with Hispanics now.
Wow. Wow. That's something now. Okay, let's move on to Dave Chappelle. Now, Dave Chappelle had a special on Netflix, and it's called The Closer. And after he did that, he received widespread criticism from the LGBTQ community and fellow comedians, and reportedly inspired a walkout at the company's office, at Netflix office.
Goodbye.
But
Goodbye.
Yep. But Chappelle said, I'm sorry, I have a timer on. But Chappelle said in the video that he is not backing down. He's willing to meet with the LGBT community, but he will not be summoned, and he will not bend to anybody's demands. So what do you all think about The Closer? First of all, did you all see it? You said you didn't see it, Star.
Yeah, I saw it.
I didn't see it, but I am totally with Dave. I agree with him and with J.K. Rowling about the whole issue of being team turf. And what exactly does that mean now? Trans exclusion, radical feminist. I agree with him on that. And if he was canceled, I don't know by whom he was canceled, because I think his special has gotten more viewers than ever.
Girl, I'm so glad you said that. I thought this was an incredible PR stunt, because people was talking about his special for weeks after that thing dropped because of this. And Deidre, you mentioned a walkout from Netflix. Didn't they start dragging the person who had organized that walkout for some anti-gay tweets they had made earlier, some racist, anti-Asian and anti-gay tweets that they had made earlier?
I didn't hear about that, but that's
yes, well, they did. They dragged that person's behind all over Twitter once that came out, that those tweets came out.
Well, okay, speaking of canceled again, here's what he said after all this, after they started coming after him, people started coming after him. So when this controversy came out about The Closer, they began disinviting from these film festivals. And now today, not a film company, not a movie studio, not a film festival, not nobody will touch this film. This is what he said. So in some respect, he has been canceled, but he doesn't care. We know that he doesn't have to care.
He got
because he walked away from $50 million.
He has enough money to not care. And Dave, if you see this, I want to open for you. I want to tour with you.
Yeah, I would definitely come see that. I have to say, honestly, I think the big thing that got him in trouble saying that he was team turf was that he agreed with J.K. Rowling, who said, which by the way, I agree with her also, that the trans community, and maybe she didn't say this, but I'm going to say what I feel. Sometimes I feel like the trans community, particularly the women, somewhat encroach on women. And to this day, I still don't understand Caitlyn Jenner winning anybody's Woman of the Year award. I don't understand what that's about.
But after being a woman for 1 year?
But wait, okay, not to get all up in his business, but I think there's still demand junk down there. My thing is at least make the full commitment and then try to push down doors and demand that people accept you as a woman. But to have, the jump.
Okay,
And
I see where you're going with this. So here's how I'm interpreting all, not just what you're saying, but everybody else is saying too, that I can say that I am and I'm quoting somebody on TV, I can say that I am a rich white woman and go through a special door, but I'm not a white woman. Okay. So I still have the skin tone, I still have the kinky hair, I still have my locks and all that. So we have the transgender community saying, I feel since I was born, and although I still have my penis, that I am a woman and I want to go to the woman's bathroom.
I'm winning Women of the Year awards. I'm being nominated now as Best Actress.
Okay, I want to make this clear. We're not against transgender people.
No, not at all. They deserve to have the same rights as anyone else. They deserve to live in peace, safety, and harmony, just like anyone else. However, am I going to let Caitlyn all of a sudden dictate what is and what is not a woman? And now we as women, now we have to decide whether we're cisgender. That's the name that we have now, being born women. No, I'm not any specific gender other than female or woman. And I think what my pushback is with all of this is I don't like all the subcategories that have been made. I don't like feeling like, like I'm like you're demanding of me to say that you are a woman, when a lot of them, like I said, have not even made the full commitment and gotten the surgery. And okay, the pushback toward that one is, oh, but so you just care about our genitals. That is not true. I could not care any less about your genitals, but I know when a baby is born, that is how you determine what the sex of the baby is. And I know as an adult, if somebody wants to say that they are a woman, I think that should be a prerequisite. That should be required to then go around and demand that people call you a woman.
Well, I couldn't find the statistics about transgender violence that are perpetuated towards transgender, but it's out there. And I don't know if it has gone up or down, but there is violence towards them. So I would think that anything that they feel that is a negative statement, whether it be comedy or serious, it opens the door for more violence towards them. And so I would think that's why they are trying to cancel Dave Chappelle, anybody else that talks in not a good light regarding transgender people.
Like Dave said, he could talk about Black people terribly and nobody has anything to say about that.
Call
that
us bitches, hoes, niggas, everything.
That has not lessened the violence toward Black people. That has not lessened the discrimination toward Black people. But yet nobody has a problem with him talking about Black people. All of a sudden he says something about the trans community. And like I said, since this is being recorded, I want people to make sure you hear me. Trans people, like anyone else, deserve to live in peace and safety and harmony. Absolutely. But do they deserve to say, I am a woman? I don't know if I'm with that, especially, like I said, those who want to have their cake and eat it too. You make the full commitment, you get that surgery. Okay, you've made the full commitment. But to those who have not,
okay.
So are you talking about having cake and eating it too? You know what I'm waiting for? I'm waiting for these men to start having babies because I want them to suffer. I want them to feel what that's like. I'm waiting on that.
What? They could even have a period, okay? And they wouldn't even be able to deal with that. So, there's so much more to being a woman than what they think. And trans trying to define what it is to be a woman, I do not accept.
Okay, let's talk about, since we're on transgender women or transgender or LGBTQ, let's go to pop culture just for a second. Lil Nas X, okay, he got criticized on social media with the rapper Boozy Badass. You know, it was talking about how he was dressing up and just saying some really bad things about him. I'm trying to find it right now, but I can't. But it was really, people felt that it was anti-gay remarks. But Lil Nas' father jumped in and said that, you know, here you are talking about my son. And I'm just picking back on what you said, Star Davis, about how we talk about Black people and nobody doesn't say anything about it. But here you are talking about my son, but you're in your music, you calling women, Black women, particularly bitches and hoes. So what's your take on that? While I try to find this, what he said.
What specifically are you asking, Dietrich?
What is your take?
Because I feel like I have to be careful. What, you know, when you say what's my take on it, I got to know exactly what we're talking about, because there people have a way of misinterpreting what you're saying just so that they can drag your ass. And I don't want anyone to misunderstand what I'm saying, you know, because you started talking about Little Nas and then what is it, Boosie, and then we're on his daddy. I don't know what I'm reacting to. There's so much stuff going on up in there. I mean, it's a whole lot going on. So you got to give me one thing that I'm reacting to, because I don't need somebody saying that I said something that I didn't say, and I want to make sure I know what I'm responding to.
Well, I digress just for a moment. What Star Davis was saying about, you know, we could talk about Black people all day long negatively, but when we talk about the transgender community, as Dave Chappelle said, this, you know, we hurt their feelings. You know, nothing, you know, everything shuts down and so forth. So,
you know, one interesting thing I do have to say though, I was working really quick with this women's organization. I did some writing for them, and they help women who have been incarcerated. And one thing they pointed out was that they found there were serious discrepancies as far as rights with trans women and trans men. And somehow those original men who wanted to become women seemed to have much more rights than trans men who were originally women who then wanted to be men. A lot of times services were not given to them, things were denied them. They did not have equal rights. So, you know, I wonder if this is, I don't know. I just found that to be very, very interesting, that trans men did not have the same rights as trans women.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting too, because I'm not really in that world. So I wouldn't even know how to go about that. But getting back to Rhonda's question, I went off out of the lane just for a moment to talk about the LGBTQ community, how rapper Boozy Badass, I'm trying to find exactly what he said, but he said some discouraging remarks regarding Lil Nas. And
what did he say about Lil Nas? I know wasn't Lil Boosie charged with murder?
Yeah.
See, that's why I say I gotta know what I'm talking about, because Google said Lil Boosie was charged with murder. So, you know, what is the pot calling the kettle gay? What's going on?
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get back to the transgender community and Dave Chappelle and so forth. Yeah, Dave Chappelle, he doesn't care about being canceled at all. I don't really think he cares about the money, because he walked away from $50 million at one point. So he is saying what's on his mind. He's always been controversial. Some people, I didn't agree with what he said about R. Kelly, referencing what is 15, how old is 15. That's who he is. He's a controversial person. But at the same time, people are saying, what about comedy? What about free speech? I mean, are we going to put a lid on everything? Is everybody going to be sensitive and so forth, the things that have been done on the Jeffersons, the things that Richard Pryor has said would not be acceptable for today. So, I mean, what do you all think about that? I mean, about free speech. What is funny? I've always asked comedians when they came on Sister Talk, what is funny? What is not funny? Do you all go after everything? And it seems like Dave Chappelle has done that. But what's your all take on that? Am I confusing y'all?
Well, you know, I got to tell you something. I think I have done Sister Talk more than any other TV show. And,
Thank you.
And I feel like if people gonna cancel me off Sister Talk, they can go right ahead. Because that's all I got happening up in here. You can't cancel what's not happening. So
Okay. Okay.
One of the stock answers around what I think you're putting forward to us, Deetra, is that comedians are best when they are not punching down, when they are speaking truth to power or punching up rather than punching down. I don't really know what free speech is anymore, because social media, I don't know that we ever really had free speech here in America, but social media has ratcheted up the speed and breadth of whatever you say, how many people can hear it and how many people can respond to it. People who don't know you, people who have no context for what you're saying. All I know is that I had a conversation with a writer associate of mine, and I was actually talking around this controversial topic around wanting to write a joke about my feeling about transgender issues and my response to it. And he said to me, do you want to alienate your audience? And the first thing I said was, no, I don't want to alienate my audience.
But before we do that, we're going to go to video break and be right back, okay? Hi, this is Deetra Kelsey, host of Sister Talk TV show, and we're coming to you live from the African American Day Parade right here on 111th and Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard. Right on, look, I am the honorary guest, and I can't wait to march, and you all should come down and enjoy the day. Feel the energy, feel the energy. It's going to be remarkable. Okay, guys, I'm signing out, but I will be back later on.
Executive producer of Sister Talk TV show at the 50th African American Day Festival here in Harlem. Standing with me is none other than the Honorable Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams. Eric, how you doing?
Good, brother, good, brother. We go so far back. His mother used to babysit me when I was a little snot-nosed kid running around creating havoc. Now I'm a snot-nosed adult creating havoc.
Eric, man, it's so good to see you, but a quick question.
Yes.
How does it, I mean, you're in Manhattan, Brooklyn. What does this moment mean for you to be a part of the 50th annual Harlem Day Parade?
So much. You know, I marched in this parade as a cop when we were fighting for equality in the police department. I was one of the founders of 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care. And throughout the year, it was difficult and it was hard, and our spirit used to be broken often. But then we would come here in September and we were marching this parade, and it was like a refueling station, man. Folks will give you that love.
Right.
They will really lift you up, and we were ready to go another year to fight for our people, and we saw the results of it. You know, many people demonized us back then, but now they see that we were on target, we were right. Black cops standing wearing blue uniform, but standing up for black people, and that meant a lot. And so as I'm the Grand Marshal now, it just really brings back chills of how we've come a long way, and I'm looking forward from marching this parade as a cop, as a state senator, as a borough president, and in 2021 I would like to march in as the next mayor of the city of New York.
You know, I was going to ask you about that. What are your plans? I know we're about a couple of years away, but I think you would be an ideal great mayor for the city of New York. How would you, but the big thing is Trump.
Yes.
On the horizon.
Right.
Next year in 2020. What do we have to do to get this man out of office?
It's easy. I've never seen a more low-hanging fruit item to get him out of office. It's just vote. You know, we vote, call your loved ones down south. Everyone knows someone somewhere. Call them, tell them to get to the poll, and look at the swing states and make sure people come out and participate in the vote in action. We could get them out instantly. This is not complicated. This is not one of those things you have to be a rocket scientist or a surgeon. All you have to do is be a determined American, go to the poll, get them out, and then let's move forward to 2021. It has been 20 years since we had a mayor of color. It's time to bring some chocolate back to City Hall.
There you go. Talking to you to the next mayor of New York. Eric, thank you so much, man. Love you, man.
Hi, we are back, and thank you for staying tuned. Okay, I want to introduce the panel and Star and Rhonda, let the viewers know what you all are doing, what you have been doing, and what's coming up. Rhonda, I know you are a comedian, actor, and director, and everything. I can't.
Yes, I'm a Renaissance woman up in here. Yes, yes. I want people to go on Facebook and like Politunatics. I write cartoons with Scott Williams under the name Politunatics on Facebook. And I want people to go and like Politunatics and share their favorite cartoon. I also do a podcast. I write sketches and do voice acting for the podcast Politipod, and that's available on SoundCloud. Politipod is on SoundCloud. We're we have a new episode out now, and you can catch some of my one-liners and some of my sketches there. And I sing with Groovin' on a Sunday, the longest running variety cabaret show. I love doing storytelling. I'll be with Harmon Leon with a tale at doing storytelling at the Red Room down on East 4th Street. People can check me out on Twitter at Rhonda Handsome, or on IG at Rhonda Full, or on Facebook at Rhonda Handsome Comedy. I'm just trying to stay busy and, you know, keep up with the parade without tripping.
I didn't know you sing.
Yeah, neither did I. Yeah.
I heard that. All right, Star, tell us about the commercial you did. You did the commercial. You said that earlier. But
yeah, so that was earlier this year in April, and I think it ran through the summer.
Right. Yeah.
It was filmed in April, but I think it ran through the summer. Just encouraging people to go get vaccinated. The age was 16 when we made the commercial, and then it went down to 12. I actually had to re-record that line about being eligible at 12 to get a vaccine. And now I think they've started from ages 5 to 11. They have doses out for children now. So go get vaccinated.
So what else have you been doing? Tell us about your magazine.
You Can magazine, my little passion project, as I call it. So the last issue that we did, one of the things that I personally was very proud of was I was happy that Derek Chauvin had gotten convicted. And I thought, and I still think that Darnella Frazier should get the Presidential Medal of Freedom for her work. I know she got a special citation from the Pulitzer, but even so, I think she deserves a Presidential Medal of Freedom for that footage that sparked outrage all over the world, which was over George Floyd's murder. So yes, I am still writing for UCAN magazine. We're going to have an issue coming out around Thanksgiving. I've been doing more acting, currently working now with this wonderful organization, Live On New York, and they try to convince people to donate organs and tissue. So I'm doing acting with them, with their trainees on how they would speak to people when they walk in the room.
Oh, really? Wow, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I've been doing that for the past couple of months. So, you know, there are different ways to make a living as an actor, and that's that's one of the ways I've been lucky enough to actually make a living. So,
I know. Yeah, no, that's right. Hey, speaking of that, you know, that vaccine. So we're going to talk about that, the vaccine mandate. Now, first of all, I want to say this. Anybody who's watching, and even you all, I'm not judging anyone that took the vaccine and did not take the vaccine. And I don't want to know if you took the vaccine. So if you're emailing me, it's okay not to mention it. Okay, I really don't want to know. But we're here right now to really discuss the vaccine mandate. What we think about it, is it fair? There are people that believe that their rights are being violated. There are people that believe that the vaccine will save lives. Now, there are people that believe that they have their own set of health protocols that they're doing that will prevent them from getting the vaccine, or even if they get the vaccine, they have a protocol that will get rid of the vaccine, keep them alive. So the question is, what do you all think about the vaccine mandate? And I'll tell you what I think also.
I'm in favor of it.
I know you are.
I'll put it this way. I feel it's sad that there even has to be a mandate for people to want to go and get vaccinated. I think that's unfortunate that it has to be made into a mandate. But I honestly believe totally 1000% had Trump, the twice impeached, disgraced, one-term past president that we just had, if he had taken this seriously, I don't think it would be nearly as politicized as it has been. I remember after he had gotten back from the hospital, the first thing he did after he walked up the steps outside of the White House was to snatch off his mask. And I think that set a terrible precedent. And I think if he were not worried about optics and trying to get reelected and putting his self-interests above everybody else, you know, namely the health of the country, I don't even know if mandates would have been necessary. But I think a lot more has been made of it because of his politicizing of the situation. That's what I think.
That's interesting that you said that politicized, because that's what it's coming down to. I mean, because I feel that the COVID virus was at a point where it was herding out, as they say. I mean, what do you think, Rhonda? And there was no need to really force people to get those vaccinations.
I think this is a big farmer cash cow coming up in here with the vaccine. I think Big Pharma is the winner. I feel like ever since we have been dealing with COVID, we have had contradicting information and misinformation floating around about it. I don't know exactly what the mandate is, so I can't respond to the mandate. But I do know that I don't like the term fully vaccinated because it doesn't mean anything to me. It's like, saying I want a venti instead of saying what the hell you really want, what size coffee you want.
Mhm.
It means, to me, fully vaccinated is almost meaningless when they actually change the definition of vaccination. And I feel like in years to come, we may have a lot of information about issues, long-term issues from this vaccination, and we have signed away our ability to sue around it.
Yeah, that's strange too.
There are people who are having breakthrough experiences of COVID, and instead of, I really feel like there has been too much contradictory information around this. When this first happened, remember when they were saying, how did this happen? Where did this virus come from? And Deetra, we actually, through the World Health Organization, had funded the research on this at Wuhan. So, I mean, why were we going, oh my goodness, how did this happen? Where did this come from? When we had actually given money to do the research on developing or on researching this exact type of virus. You don't see people doing those aspiration demonstrations anymore about how far the droplets go in the air. First they said it was 6 feet, then they said it was 10 feet, then they stopped talking about it altogether.
Right.
And then when the numbers went down, I think, what was it, like 2 weeks, they said something like, oh, you don't have to wear a mask if you're vaccinated. Then all of a sudden, I mean, that was like a confusion and chaos.
Right.
Ratcheted up to the 9th degree. I mean, and I do agree with Star in that the former president, the disgraced president, the
Twice impeached.
The twice impeached president did weaponize the whole idea around COVID, first by even denying that it existed.
Yeah, and a lot of people lost
Everything
their
that
lives
comes
because of
along
that.
after it is, to me, is suspect. Everything around this is suspect. When we actually funded the research around this virus, and when I know that Big Pharma is just raking in the money, and we're not looking at this ending. People were saying, oh, you just get this fully vaccinated, oh, and you'll need a booster. Well, then you're not fully vaccinated. You're going to need a booster every 6 months or every year, or on a regular basis every quarter. And I feel like I cannot believe anything. I think I'm given bits of information for just a certain amount of time to manipulate my behavior.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, you can't, I think that's why the Democrats are losing and are barely winning in these elections. They're not really sitting down and talking to the people that put them in office, that switch sides. Not so much they wanted Biden, they just didn't want Trump to be in office again, and I do believe that, okay, we're going to go with Biden because he said X, Y, Z. Black people put him in office. I'm not going to do what Trump did or what have you. But once he gets in office, and not just him, but all the other constituents, they're not sitting at the kitchen table. They're not going to people's kitchen table. This is what the re-elected governor said in New Jersey. The Democrats have to get rid of the suits, come into these people's houses and really talk to them about the issues. Eric Adams even said this about the vaccine mandate, that he is for it. He said, no question about it, but he had talked to a woman who had children, and none of them have gotten vaccinated, and they have religious exemption. Those are the people you need to really sit down and talk to, and come up with something, an alternative, brainstorm. I don't know, but that's not what's happening with that. Wow, we have to close the show up. Rhonda, yeah, time goes fast.
It goes by so quickly, Deetra.
Okay, yeah, but one more thing, Thanksgiving. So this show will be followed up, be aired throughout the month of November. So I would like to talk about Thanksgiving. What are y'all doing Thanksgiving? Cooking, vegetarian meals? What
I'll
do
be
you
in
think about?
Washington. So my cousin's a vegetarian, so I guess this will be a vegetarian Thanksgiving for me.
How about yourself, Rhonda? You have
I
children.
try to remember that you know, when I was a kid, there was always one or two people who had a real hard time with these holidays, with Christmas and with Thanksgiving. And I have to try to remember what the celebration of Thanksgiving is actually celebrating, as far as the decimation and appropriation of land for Native Americans. So, you know,
and then, you know, Columbus, Christopher Columbus statue is right in the middle of Columbus Circle, high in the sky. I don't know why they did that. But you know, it's something to think about. They're calling it right now. I don't know if it's legal or officiated, Indigenous People Day. So, I mean,
well, they can call it what they want, but you know, I feel like performative and symbolic gestures, I'm done with. I'm done with the performative. I'm done with the symbolic. And you know, wasn't there a song called "Giving Me Something You Can Feel"? You know, that's all I'm interested in these days. Give me something I can feel. Give me some reparations. You know, give me some. Yeah, give me some qualified immunity. You know, that's really where I am right now.
Absolutely.
I'm not going for the okey doke anymore. I can't fall for it.
You know, if anything, this pandemic, I believe, have woke a lot of people up. You know, there is definitely a change that is happening because of the I think Trump really made that change. You know, I think he made that change. He opened a lot of people.
Trump changed our whole perception around reality, of our collective reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
He had all facts, and I feel like I was tricked into getting rid of Trump. We ain't rid of Trump. Trump is still taking the oxygen out of the room.
I have to close the show up because of time, but I kind of think I don't think they're going to quote unquote get him. That's what it leads to. I think they're going to get people around him, but I think he's not going to be held accountable for the resurrection.
He's never been held accountable for anything in his life.
He is the real Teflon Don.
Yeah, and I think that is why the Democrat, you're mute, Star. You're mute. You're mute. We can't hear you. But I think that's why.
I thought it said the host muted me. That's why I was like, oh, okay.
But I think that's why. I think that's why the Democrats are losing their base. Well, because they're not listening, they're not talking. They're getting everybody else except Trump, and that's what it seems like.
Well, with the Democrats too, is that the Democratic base is much wider, right? Trump's base is white, male, rich, or country. They all have something in common. Democrats is all peoples of color, some white people, some poor, some rich. So there's a much more wide base that has to be reined in with the Democrats, whereas the Republicans.
But they're not coming to the polls. But they're not coming to the polls. They're not coming to the polls. Their Democrats are barely winning to be reelected.
It's nothing for
They're not coming to, they may not be switching to the Republicans.
They're not.
They're not coming
just,
to the
we
polls.
are just not going there. And I am so happy that I am no longer, after being a lifelong Democrat, I am so happy to not be in the party anymore. I don't know what to do. I'm just delighted with myself. I said I gave them my entire voting life, and I'm still waiting for them to recognize me.
Yeah.
How can one get in touch with you all?
I'm so glad you asked that, Deetra. I want your audience, your wonderful audience, to go to rhondahandsome.com, and they can contact me directly through there. And I want them to do that just in case we fall out of the metaverse and Zuckerman decides to make us all into avatars. I want a way of keeping in touch with people who appreciate what I have to offer and want to know more. So that is rhondahandsome.com. That's my website. And you can contact me directly through there. Give me your email, or follow me on social media at Rhonda Handsome Comedy, on Twitter at Rhonda Handsome. That's like a handsome man without the D. Make up your own joke.
All right, Star.
Well, you can contact me on Instagram, UCAN_magazine, Twitter, UCAN-magazine, or on Facebook, UCAN, which is UCAN magazine. And if you want to email us, you can email us at ucanmagazine@gmail.com.
I want to thank Rhonda Handsome and Star Davis for coming on Sister Talk TV show, the virtual platform. I want to thank the executive producer and director, Zaki Z Starman. Hey, my closing remark is that the pandemic has woke me up and has also given me pandemic fat, which I'm trying to lose. But after Thanksgiving, but I also learned during this time that nothing's going to change but ourselves. Do not look for the great white hope. Do not look for the people that are above to make any changes. They will change only if you make the change. It is, again, within your heart. This is Deetra Kelsey once again. And as always, I am wishing you peace, love, and remember to stay in the light. Hey.
No matter what you're going through, don't worry, I ain't going nowhere.